Hello! Today we're going to be talking about refeed days. I've just got in for a walk with Odin and it's absolutely lobbing it down, so I am absolutely soaked, but here we are. So, refeed days are basically the deloads of dieting. So with a deload we have a period of time where we reduce the amount of volume we do, whereas with refeeds we increase the amount of calories we have for a 1 to 2 day period throughout a week. Alright, so it's a limited time of eating more food. Alright, and typically we only use these when we diet. Alright, and these kind of fall between a full diet break, which is sort of 1 to 2 weeks, and we'll go through the research later with that, and cheat meals, which are just absolutely diabolical. Because with cheat meals, obviously you don't track them, and that's the key here, is that you can easily blow your calories, your full calorie deficit for the week. You can blow that out just by one cheat meal. Okay. A diet break, we track, it's 2 weeks. A refeed, it's a short amount of time, but we do track them. And typically, most of our calories from a refeed do come from carbohydrates as well. So the overall goal of having a refeed is to improve long-term results. So if you have refeeds, say you always have refeeds, and let's say on a Saturday and a Sunday, you've always got something throughout the week to look forward to. On a weekend, you're less prepared because there's less anchor points. So you've got, typically a lot of people don't work over the weekend. So when you don't work, you've got more opportunity to eat, more time at home, more time in the kitchen, more time not doing work. So therefore you've got less distraction and you have more opportunity to eat. It's a psychological break from dieting. So you've got to think that the cumulative effects of dieting take its toll after a time. If you go 6 months of dieting and being a calorie deficit every single day, that fucking sucks. Been there, done that, don't want to do that again. The psychological break comes from not having to think about how many calories are in, like specifically in certain foods. And because most of the calories come from carbohydrates, we increase the amount of serotonin that we build up in the brain, because tryptophan is increased and it crosses the brain-blood barrier when you have carbohydrates. So you have a psychological release from not having to diet and having enough fuel to just think, but also you just increase serotonin as well. That then restores muscle glycogen, so you have better training periods. You're going to have better able to go throughout your day without feeling like you've got absolutely no energy. And we increase leptin. So leptin, if you've watched the hunger and satiety video, is your fullness hormone. So if we increase leptin, which we can increase by about 25 to 28%, I think when I was reading for this, about 28%, we can increase leptin. That's a big increase. All right, so you're going to feel fuller for longer. All right, and it's going to reduce the amount of It's going to reduce the amount of calories you overeat. You eat over the course of the next week until your next refeed. And the overall goal is to reduce the cumulative effects of dieting. So we have 3 ways we can do it. So the first one is not refeeds. Okay, so say your maintenance calories are 2,500. You'd go Monday to Sunday at 2,000. You'd have a deficit of 3,500, but you'd have no refeeds. And typically on 2,000 calories, you probably won't need refeeds for most. All right, 1 refeed day, same calories, same deficit. All right, maintenance at 2,500. All right, so we reduce Monday to Saturday in this example to 1875, give or take, and then that allows us on a Sunday to have 2,750, and that gives us a total deficit of 3,500. And then 2 day refeed is we increase Saturday and Sunday to 2,500, and we take 2,200 calories off Monday to Friday, so 1,800. All right, and we still have an average deficit of 3,500, and we are still at that 2,000 as an average. Okay. So the whole idea of why these work, or how they work, comes from a couple of studies, and most of these are on diet breaks rather than refeeds, but refeeds are just a smaller version of this. Okay, so there was a Matador study. This basically looked at 2 different groups: the 16-week continuous diet group, so no refeeds and no diet breaks. Then you had a 30 2 on 2 off for 30 weeks. So you had 2 weeks dieting, 2 weeks not dieting. And basically what they saw is that at the end of the dieting phase, the diet group lost 50% more muscle mass. They had less metabolic adaptation, so they were still burning as many calories as they were, or burning more calories than what would be expected versus the continuous diet group. So basically, as you diet, the more calories you burn as a base level drops, and that comes from the fact that you're holding less mass. So every step requires less calories, less energy for you to propel you forwards, but also you start moving less. All right, when you start restricting your calories, you start moving less, start walking less, you're fidgeting less. You're not as gesticular with your hands. So I'm not dieting at the minute, so I'm like this. All right, when I do start dieting, my hands won't even come into the screen. And then a 6 month follow up. So 6 months after the 16 weeks and 6 months after the 30 weeks, they compared them, and 90% more fat loss was seen in the diet break group. Okay. The reason for that is because the diet breaks and refeeds allowed us to practice maintenance. It allows you to practice what it feels like after you dieted and you've got to your goal weight, or after the diet ends and you've lost 10 kilos, for example. It shows you what it's like to actually stay there. Okay, and that's what refeeds and diet breaks allow us to do. Okay, if you go continuously without that, what happens is you go back to eating normal, which isn't normal. All right, it's not the new normal for you because you've left the old normal in the past, and that's what happens. Okay. Then you've got the ice cap study. I should have referenced the last one, but never mind. Basically, this one is it works very similar. Okay, so they did 24 weeks, I think it was, week on week, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, versus continuous dieting again. So basically, they saw that diet break improved performance, obviously, because you're getting more glycogen. All right, you enhanced diet satisfaction, so you felt like you had more availability when it comes to food, again, because you're getting a lot to eat more. Reduced in hunger, again, because you're eating more. Reduced desire to eat, because you're eating more. And decreased inhibition, which is the desire to eat when presented with food. So it's that cue of, oh shit, there's food there, I'm going to eat it. Okay. All things point to refeeds, diet breaks having a massively positive impact on your weight loss. We're making it easy for you to get leaner. It doesn't matter how long it takes. All right, the goal is in that direction. As long as we're going in that direction, it doesn't matter how long it takes, because you're going to go through periods where you are in a diet phase or a bulk phase or a maintenance phase. You're going to go through periods where social events are going to be higher, and that's what refeeds and diet breaks are going to allow for. You can, for example, Christmas has just been, we're January at the minute, Christmas has just been. How many people dieted through January? None of my clients. Because I'm fully aware that nobody wants to diet through Christmas. You want those extra foods, you're going to eat more, you're going to overeat. So we account for it, we allow it. And I teach my clients that is the best thing to do. All right, as soon as January hits, some of them continue into what I call an equity building phase or a bulk phase. And some of them go straight back into a deficit because they've had that diet break. Yes, we know their weight's going to be up, but it's going to come down. It doesn't matter how long this takes, because it's all about feeling better, increasing your health, being stronger, and having more muscle mass and less fat mass. That is the be all and end all. Okay, make sure you like, subscribe, and if you have any questions, please hit me up. I will put a fat loss, my lifelong fat loss book in the link in the description if you would like to grab that. Cheers, guys.